Guys, before we get into the video, I apologise if my audio is more messed up than usual. I'm currently installing my new streaming PC and I've copied the settings one for one and it just does not sound the same. And also, I think my mic's dying, so considering I bought a new PC, I think it's time I get a new mic. This has lasted me like 10 years, so it's done its job. I think it's time to put it to bed. If anybody's got any suggestions about the mic as well, let me know down below, as long as it's not like a £700 mic that requires an XLR mixer as well, because I ain't spending that much money, but I'm willing to spend, you know, a small amount, nothing crazy. We're talking about crazy amounts of money. It's that time of month. Once again, it's the time to talk about how revenue equals quality, and that means your game must be better than the game that didn't make as much money, because that's how it works, right? That's how it works. And it's that time of month as well for people to start doing mental gymnastics to explain how certain games are doing and certain games are not doing, and this revenue doesn't mean shit when it's my game not doing very well, and how it actually proves something when a game is doing well. And I want to do it a little bit differently this month, specifically for two reasons. One is Arknights Enfield's just launched, and I want to specifically focus in on Enfield and some of the games around it, and how we can try and assume some of the hidden revenue for Enfield because of Wuthering Waves and some of the information that's come out about Wuthering Waves, and how we can kind of attach that to some other games' potential hidden revenue. And two, I just want to speak on Saint and how he's been talking about the game, because I must hate myself, because while I was sorting out my new PC earlier, I had him up on my gaming PC and I was listening to his stream, and I heard him say that 1.0 it's pretty much the worst 1.0, which is a wild thing to say when we've had games like Black Beacon recently and other games that have absolutely fell flat on the face, and it's the worst 1.0 revenue because of Arknights being an established IP and the marketing, which has been huge. I must admit, the marketing has been huge, and Arknights is an established IP. But it's funny, not too long ago we were saying ain't nobody playing Arknights who's coming into Enfield. No one gives a shit about that game, but apparently now you need to give a shit about it, because that's the reason why its revenue should have been higher. And speaking about how we had less revenue on its first week, but the reason was because that didn't have established IP, which PGR was there. But granted, it's not as big as Arknights, but everybody and the dog was talking about Wuthering Waves in the gacha space, because the Hoyo space wouldn't shut the fuck up about it, so by proxy everybody knew about it and people were excited about it. It was one of the most anticipated gacha games probably since Star Rail and Genshin came out. People knew about this game. It didn't come out of nowhere, it wasn't just under the radar, and it didn't perform as well as Enfield, if we believe these estimates are anywhere near correct, in its first week. And what does that mean? Wuthering Waves has gone on to be fine, but apparently, you know, word on the street, according to the Arknights OGs, there's only a couple of months left in this game, which, okay, even if some OG Arknights players said that, what the fuck do they know? Do they know exactly how much Hypergryph needed to make first month to be considered a success? No. It's and at the same time, most Arknights players' criticisms with Enfield were twofold. Gacha system, and specifically about banners being truly limited and not going into standard banners, and mainly the story, right? Because Arknights has a great story, and people are a little bit worried and disappointed about the direction of how things are being handled in Enfield. And then there's just the people who play Arknights who are just not interested in Enfield because it's more of an action game, right? That's fair. But yeah, this idea that the OG Arknights players don't think there's long left in the game. One, I don't know how true that is. And two, okay, that means anything, right? These are the numbers we're talking about. This is why I wanted to do this a little bit differently as well, right? Just specifically because of that. 29.5 million in its first week. I made a video the other day and we were estimating around about 27.5 million, looking at some of the numbers. So the kind of track, right, in regards to Sensor Tower's full data that's come out now. But this is probably much higher. One, because these numbers are conservative anyway, because they're the 1.75 edition, multiplier, sorry, should I say, for Android in CN. That's a 75 to 80% market share in CN for Android. So I always think even a 2x is probably conservative. It's probably much more in terms of people spending on Android than just 1.75 times what's going on in iOS. Anyway, I digress. The reason I think it could be a lot more as well is because Wuthering Waves has shown to us that some of these games specifically have massive amounts of hidden revenue. And what I mean by that is, if you didn't know, Tencent announced information regarding Wuthering Waves revenue, right? And Wua did 262.6 million according to the gacha revenue charts last year, and that's specifically just for mobile, right? But we had the information coming out from Tencent that it was more like 500 odd million. So it's safe to say that they were getting double the revenue that we saw. They were making just as much on console and PC that they were making on mobile, which I'm actually surprised by, because I thought it'd be even more. I thought it was probably like an 80-20 split when it came to Wuthering Waves, because it's just not a good mobile game, right? It's a good game, but in terms of it's definitely more of a PC, PlayStation type of experience, right? And we can infer that if they made double the amount to what we've seen, it's probably safe to say that we're maybe seeing something similar for Zenless. Less so for Genshin and Star Rail, but still massive amounts of hidden revenue, which we all assumed for the longest time, because we know this is only mobile. But a lot of us were like, could easily be double that, right? Not just a few million, could actually be double some of these numbers. So it's safe to say, if we look at that and then attach that assumption to Arknights Enfield, then we could be looking at 60 million for the first week of the game's revenue. And that's considered potentially EOS worthy. Trash numbers for a trash 1.0 for a game that's got an established IP and a massive marketing budget. Where are we at now in regards to what's considered a lot of money in the gacha space? Have we got so wrapped up in the numbers that lads and Genshin and Star Rail does that we look at anything below 100 million and we go, chump change. I find that down the back of the sofa. Like, what are we doing here, right? Again, they spent a lot of money on marketing. Christ, they're on gacha revenue, right? They were everywhere. They did spend a lot of money on marketing. But even with all of that, with a game that probably cost a couple of 100 million to make, probably spent anywhere between 25 to 50 million on marketing, maybe even more, right? If they can make 60 to 70 million in their first week, and this is a game that's going to be running for multiple years, and of course, the development cost is going to go down. Subsequent updates are going to be smaller than the initial building of the game. That's just natural because they literally built the game. Of course, they're still going to spend money on making it, but they built the game, right? They spent a lot of money on working on the engine and all that sort of stuff. So, of course, it's going to cost less to run than it did to develop. So, that amount of money is going to start to be a lot better as the overhead shrink, right? And at the end of the day, this might be considered a failure by Hypergryph. We don't know, right? We don't know the overheads. Again, I've said this multiple times in my videos when we talk about revenue. A game could make 50 million a month, and a game could make 10 million a month. 9 million of that 10 million could be profit, where 10 million of that 50 million could be profit because of the overheads. We just don't know, right? We don't know how these businesses are run, how they're set up, the sort of debts they've got to pay, investors, all that sort of stuff. We just don't know, right? But if coming into the top 10 in your first week, 30 million on mobile alone is considered terrible, bro's lost in the sauce. But dude has been lost in the sauce since Enfield's launch. Dude has been farming so hard. But again, I understand this is how bro pays the rent, right? And rent is high nowadays. But when we look to some of the stuff that he's been saying about some people in the space and content creators and the devs, specifically people like Ryan, whatever his name is, saying he looks like a rat and stuff, that to me is just insanely wild, you know. Don't throw stones if you live in a glass house, man. It's just like, what are we doing? And with 15-year-old girls out here, again, I think Enfield's broken a lot of people in the space to a point where it's just a little bit embarrassing. I understand getting money, right? But for people who aren't dented and don't just follow people like little sheepdogs, you can see that none of this is for the betterment of any of these games. Listening to him talk about Enfield in regards to, I can't wait to 3.1 to drop so I can farm something else. Does that sound like somebody who's trying to improve the game? Does it mean he's wrong about all the things he's saying? No, he's right about some of the things he's saying. Do you genuinely believe he wants the game to be better for the sake of the game being better, for a better product? Do you think he really cares if Zenless Zone Zero is a better product, or Genshin, or Star Rail? He might say, but This is a dude who actively saying he wants to see them fail to the game to fail to humble the developers because of how greedy they are. That doesn't sound like somebody who wants the game to be better. That sounds like somebody who has a bone to pick and wants to see something fail so he can stand there and say, "Told you so," all at the same time of farming it. So don't for a second believe it's for the betterment of these video games, right? And again, I'm not really judging the dude trying to get money. There's ways to go about making money, right? You know, and that's not me. End of the day, I don't pay the bills with this stuff, so I don't have to go about it like that. I poke fun at stuff sometimes. We have a laugh. We dabble in a bit of freaking jokes about other video games, but, you know, getting too serious and deep into it, it's just genuinely been insane to see the levels the dude's been going to recently. I suppose I understand now some communities how they've spoke about him and says like how dude's gone on and on and on, but as somebody who's never really cared, because I don't care about this anyway, I've never really thought about it, but it's actually kind of crazy to see. So that's why we're doing a little bit different this month. But here's a number that's crazy. 111 million. Apparently, according to this post on Bilibili, is what Enfield made in its first week. But I don't believe that. Apparently, this is according to Sensor Terror's coefficient statistics, including PC and PlayStation estimates from both domestic and international. As far as I'm aware, they don't do this sort of stuff for PC and PlayStation, do that. They do PlayStation and PC statistics, but I don't think specifically for these sort of games. It's got Genshin at 260 million and Zenith Zero at 93 million. I wouldn't be surprised at Genshin doing that, but if we look at 66 million a month for this now, as I say, I think these numbers are conservative, but I wouldn't think that 60 million conservative. If we take that to 120 and then double it and take it fucking 240, 260, something like that. I think these numbers, I don't see many people or any people refuting the person in the comment section, but I think this is just girl boss math. I think this is back of a cigarette packet math, right? I don't think there's any substance to any of this, but we'll never know, I guess. But yeah, look at these numbers, man. Lads, 700 million, man. Ridiculous. Arknights at cool 248 million. Star Rail and Genshin 500 plus million. Great to see here. Limbus, Wua and Reverse in surging revenue for 2025. 850% for Reverse. 910 for Wua and 1,080 for Limbus Company. I'm so happy to see Reverse 1999 had a good year in a year where the market contracted. There's been big winners, but lots of losers. So happy to see Reverse doing well. Great to see Wua doing well as well. And great to see Limbus doing well also. And I do promise to get back to Limbus at some point. And man, Solo Living and Rise is kind of the biggest surprise. 12.4 million downloads. What the fuck happened there? What the fuck happened there? But yeah, I just think it's wild how these gacha games get some of us right. I understand trying to make a book, and I understand some people have got a bit more of a vested interest to make a book. But for the people who don't make a book, right, who are just here on the sides, don't get too wrapped up in the tribalism. Don't get too wrapped up in the revenue charts as well. None of it means shit. Enjoy the games you enjoy. Have a laugh. Poke fun. And let's just enjoy it, man. Don't be like Saint, man. Don't be like Saint, right? I get it. He's farming, but sometimes I listen to him. I'm like, bro's about to have an aneurysm, man, over a gacha game. This is a grown man, but you know, hey, bro, I get it. You're making money, right? I suppose I respect that. But guys, if you enjoyed the video, let me know down below. As well, if you're here still, what device are you playing on? Are you on mobile? Are you on PC? Or are you on console? And are you on Android or OS? Just kind of curious to see what you guys are on. I might set up a poll at some point, actually, to try and get like a small sample size for that, just out of curiosity. In regards to Enfield, what are you playing on? But yeah, guys, if you enjoyed the video, subscribe if you're new, like the video, and I'll see you all in the next one. And hopefully, I can get my PC set up and be back. I'm hoping to be streaming tomorrow when I'm recording this. It's early hours of the morning, but I don't know if I'm going to get it sorted anyway. Guys, ta-ra.